Okay, I think we have a quorum. Two there, right? Right there? Okay, good. Very good. Welcome, everyone, to the College Council, April 15th College Council meeting of SUNY Polytech. I'm Roanne DeStito, the chair, and I would like to welcome our distinguished assembly member, Marianne Buttonshaw, from the New York State Assembly, and we welcome her. She wants to make some comments about our recognition of 50 years of nursing excellence here at SUNY Poly. So, Marianne?
Yes, thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate it. As I look around the room, I see many friends, and I thank you all for your hard work and your dedication and the commitment. I don't want anyone's back to me. No, that's okay. So clearly, 50 years, dedicated commitment, not only through leadership at SUNY Poly, but clearly so many of the faculty and staff that are a part of the hard work and dedication and commitment. So as I talk to the council, I don't have to tell you that it is so easy in Albany to brag, and that's because of all the hard work and dedication. On another note, we passed an extender today, so yes, the budget is not passed. So, but I did just get off the thruway. We'll be back on Thursday. And if you want to know anything about that process, I would just lean over to Roanne, as she could advise you that it's probably not going to happen on Thursday either. However, on that note, I just want to say again, 50 years of hard work and dedication and commitment. And clearly, a couple of years ago, I was approached in regards to the discussion of the expansion of the nursing program by many of the faculty, as well as graduating students, that were talking about the importance. So to me, it was easy to go to the speaker and advocate for that funding. And the great thing was the governor matched it. So well-deserved, and clearly many of the graduates that I meet in the community, the work and perseverance within healthcare that will continue, so many of them working as well as achieving a degree. So I thank you. I thank you on behalf of the New York State Assembly. This resolution, if you would accept it.
Yes, we both will. How's that?
And I have a few.
Okay.
For this. Think about that.
Thank you.
Well, let's give it to,
Nursing.
yes, nursing.
This was the guy at that time, Wooly, that was pushing for the money. So he gets one. Yeah. He does all the hard work.
Just make sure we get that away. And
We're not gonna leave you all
All right. Yeah, let's get you in.
well prepared.
Want to put her in the middle? Let's put the president.
Monkey in the middle?
And the president.
I'm moving.
All right, there we go. There we go. Come on. Yeah, we're all set. We're all set. Yep.
Okay, 1 second. Go. 3, 2, 1. Let me just do one of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care,
Yes.
everyone. I know you got
You
work
got,
to do.
well, you got a lot. Got a
Yes.
lot on your plate too. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great way to start a meeting.
Yes, it is. She's very dedicated to all that we do here, so it's great to have her here. Okay, we have the minutes from our March 11th meeting. I will entertain a motion to accept those minutes. Bill? Thank you. Okay. Mitch, you'll be the second. Any comments or any changes, corrections to to the minutes? Hearing none. Mitch, you seconded it. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay, all right. We have accepted the minutes. Okay, so I was very pleased. Our president had recommended that we do a small subcommittee for the changes to the code of conduct, and I want to report that we had a very good meeting. Jennifer, you were there, and we had a number of our members participated. John was there, Keith, Mitch Ford, Michelle was there, and we really had a good discussion. Am I missing anybody else that was there? Nikki, you were there. You were at our meeting, yes. And it was a very good discussion. And now I'm going to ask Jen to actually make a presentation report, because you had some really good slides that will explain to everybody what we're doing and how we're doing it. And then I will, after you're complete and we've answered any questions, I'll be glad to call for a vote.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, and thank you to the small group. I think that was really helpful for them to dive in a little bit, but we will answer any questions that any of the other members have today. Thank you, Steve. So we thought it might be good to take a step back and talk about the differences between Title IX and New York State Law 129B, because we kind of jumped past that with our own comfort with the lingo, forgetting that maybe not everyone deals in these topics every single day. So Title IX is a federal law that applies to the entire United States, prohibits sex discrimination in any school or college that receives federal funding. The New York State Education Law 129B, also in everyday language referred to as the Enough is Enough law, is a state law that builds on Title IX, but it goes further. It's focused specifically on sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. The big difference for us in college student conduct is location. So Title IX only applies to student, faculty, and staff discrimination that occurs on campus. New York 129B obligates us to enforce that law if a student, faculty, or staff member experiences discrimination off campus. So we really, most of the time, we're using Title IX, but on occasion, in fact, we have had 2 cases this semester where the cases have fallen under 129B because the students were off campus or were engaged with someone who was a non-student. Any questions about the difference between Title IX and 129B? I'm glad, because I'm not an attorney and I don't have an expansive, larger. So here's my summary screen. I should have switched to that for you. It just further breaks down our obligation, especially as it relates to activities. So another place where 129B would fall into play is if one of our students was on a study abroad trip and experienced sexual discrimination or any of those violations. That would not fall under Title IX because the student wasn't here. But we would need to investigate under New York 129B. And it doesn't matter if it's connected to any kind of activity that we were sponsoring. So our attorneys have, they've really required these. I'm not sure what would happen if we said no. I think what they're looking for is your endorsement, your awareness that SUNY Poly has informed you we'd like to make these changes to the code. So we will walk through those first. So
Jen, can I just make a statement because it was a little unclear? So if the person who was accusing chooses to make wants to make an arrest or does that, that supersedes everything. I mean, if they want to go to the authorities and our SUNY Poly, could you explain all that, please.
Yeah, so there was a question, a really good question from the small group when we met about, let's say that we had a sexual assault case. Clearly, when we hear it, we believe it's something that would fall under the category of rape. If the student does not want to pursue legal action against the perpetrator, we do not proceed without their permission. And that is just the way that the laws are written. We cannot obligate them to go to the police. We make the referral that they can go to the police. And even, I think, within the police, whether it's our own university police or the city of Utica, they tend to default to what the victim is.
Correct.
The reporting
Right.
individual is seeking as in
That's the
terms of
point I
action.
wanted to make.
If they don't have, and the reason is if they don't have a complainant, they don't have a case. If that person says, well, you can pursue charges against the person that I'm accusing, but I'm not going to participate in the process, they won't have a case to pursue anyway.
Okay.
So it is up to
It's
our
up to the
student
victim,
to
right.
decide. Now, there are some things within the law that allow us to take action if we believe there is a danger to our campus. So if a student comes to us and says, I was walking across the bridge and someone jumped out at me from the trees and assaulted me, we could tell the campus that that incident occurred. So there are some where we believe people may be, other people could be in danger. We have an obligation to report that there was an incident and enough about the incident for people to protect themselves.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. So back to the language that they would like us to change within the code. You have this handout that Dan put in your folders with the code changes. And this is what you received last time, but I kind of laid it out side by side so that you, instead of, so that you could see the difference between the current and the proposed. So the first one that the attorneys have asked us to include in the code is accurate 129B language to offer distinction between sexual assault and sexual harassment. And that's simply the way 129 is laid out in the law. There is a clear distinction between categories of sexual assault and sexual harassment. You can see those two things highlighted in blue. That's how it's written in the New York law. Our current code doesn't reflect that. It reflects what you see on the left, which when you're sending someone who's accused charges, you want to make sure it matches the law so that they are very clear on what they're being charged with. Any questions about this one? There's really no content that changes in here. It's just breaking these down into two clear sexual assault and sexual harassment categories. That's number one. Number two is changing terminology. So in both Cleary and 129B, the phrase intimate partner violence is not used. They use the term domestic violence, and that is so it is a broader category. So if it is someone you live with that you're no longer intimate with, it is clear that it is domestic violence. If it is someone who lives in your household who isn't an intimate partner, it falls under domestic violence. So this one is just removing intimate partner violence and using the general accepted language of domestic violence on number two.
Any questions?
Questions on that one? Number three is inclusion of accurate 129B language regarding the rights that the student has under 129B. This paragraph that you see in your packet, proposed addition, is missing from our code and needs to be put in so that it reflects New York 129B. Any questions on that one? And the last two are advisor and accommodations. And again, this is language reflected in Title IX. So the role of the advisor in the Title IX grievance process, this is different from a student code violation for theft or anything else really that falls in the student code, when the student always has the right to an advisor. In a conduct meeting that does not fall under Title IX, that advisor doesn't get to speak. But in a Title IX hearing, the advisor does have a right to ask questions. So this is adding language that clearly states the advisor is permitted to ask the other party and any witnesses relevant questions and follow-up questions. And if you think about the process of a Title IX hearing, this is because the person who is the reporting individual may not be in a place where they're able to ask questions and articulate questions for themselves. And they need their advisor to be able to do it, because they may be speaking to the accused. So that's really to help the process for the student. And then the second part is just fixing, SUNY Poly is obligated under Title IX to offer support services to both the reporting individual and the responding student. Our current code just suggests that we would only support the reporting individual. So parties indicates we would advocate and support both. All right, this last one you may have some things to talk about. This one is recommended by our attorneys. It is supported by our Chief Conduct Officer, and was, after explanation, was favorably received by our small committee.
That was the most discussed.
Yes. So when we have a board hearing, our current code requires that we have 5 members, and that they must be trained, and they have to be trained in all things related to both the regular conduct process and the Title IX 129B process. It's an extensive training process, and it is very difficult for us to get people to volunteer for this role. They cannot be compensated for service on a conduct board, and it's very difficult. There's not a lot of people signing up, particularly students. Currently, we have 1 student who is graduating in May who is a hearing board member. And because of that, we have a hearing tomorrow. All parties have had to sign off on their acceptance of only 4 hearing board members. And if anyone, the reporting student or the responding individual said, we won't tolerate 4, we would have a real challenge that we could not complete a hearing in a timely fashion. It's just hard to get students who want to hold other students accountable. It's very difficult. It's like jury duty for all of us. It's a time commitment, and it's difficult pressure to know that you are taking on the responsibility of making decisions for someone else's educational path. So, and then if there is an appeal, our code already includes a reduction to 3 people for an appeal. So our appellate board is already 3 members, but you would need 8 trained members for a board hearing and an appellate meeting. And if that same student 2 months later commits another violation or is alleged to, in an ideal world, you would not give them the same hearing board. You would give them a new hearing board so that they would listen to that case without bias. We often can't do that because we don't have 20 people in our hearing board pool. We might have 7 on a good semester. So, and I think, as you can see from the bottom with examples, we are not the only SUNY experiencing this difficulty in getting hearing board members.
And if you look, I'd like to comment that, you've got schools that are much bigger than SUNY Polytech, so, that have gone from 5 to 3. So.
And they probably need a lot more hearings because they have more students.
Right.
Our conduct load is pretty light at SUNY Poly. We're very fortunate, but it's difficult to have enough people. So our attorneys recommended, and we celebrated their recommendation. Why don't you drop that to 3? And that's what this reflects. There was some confusion in the last meeting I think that there was just some misinterpretation from the attorneys. And Michelle and I felt the same way that all of you did. Wait, what? Our faculty and staff are going to go through a student conduct board? Like what? What are they saying? So we went back and met with the attorneys and got some clarity. So this is a flow chart of incidents. So if a student accuses a student, our Title IX coordinator, Kathy Artigiani, investigates that claim, the report, interviews everyone involved. When she is done, if she believes that a violation of Title IX or 129B occurred, she hands that whole investigation over to the conduct officer, and then she convenes a hearing board to hear the case. She and Kathy would work together on what the appropriate charges were, given the investigation outcomes. And you can see I have a blank member board. It's currently 5. We'd like it to be 3. Is convened, and our Chief Conduct Officer, Brittany, would oversee that hearing process. If a student accuses an employee of a violation of Title IX or 129B, Kathy would partner with Michelle to investigate, or Michelle's designee, to investigate an employee accusation. When they finished up their investigation, Michelle would issue the charges to the employee, but the process the employee goes through has to mirror what the students go through on our campus. So she would pull from the same set of hearing board members that Brittany does, but Michelle and Kathy would oversee that hearing. Brittany would never even know there was a case of a student against an employee. And she would convene a 3 or 5 member board. If an employee accused a student, Title IX and HR would partner up to investigate. This happens very rarely. The SUNY attorneys told us it happens very rarely that an employee accuses a student, but it does happen. And depending on the sensitivity, we would work with campus council to navigate which process is this going through. Is this going through an employee hearing board, through the HR office, or is it not sensitive enough that it could go through the student? The student could have a process through their own student code.
All right. Does anyone that was on the smaller committee want to make a comment, or are we ready to put this into a resolution?
Anybody have any questions or concerns
Yeah.
about the lowering of 5 to 3? We would still require one for a student case would have to be a student.
Anyone? Okay, how do you want me to do? You want me to just do it as one resolution? All of them recommended? Is that okay,
I think that's
Michelle?
probably all right.
Okay. So the resolution will be that we recommend approval of the proposed code of conduct changes, all 5. Do you want a separate one for the number or the change of the number? What? Mitch?
Can we do it all at once?
Yeah,
I think you could.
we can? Okay.
And we would do this for next fall at this point. We only have 3 weeks left.
Right.
This
Okay.
would be implemented.
So
in
it
next
would be
fall.
implemented in the fall of 2025?
Yes.
Correct? Okay, so we're talking about all of the changes, the 5 changes, including the reduction of the board from 5 members to 3. I will take a motion. Keith?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mitch, Keith will have the motion. Mitch, you'll second it. Any further discussion?
I just want to thank Jennifer and everybody for the work that's gone into this. It's so much clearer than it was last month. So thank you.
We agree. Thank you, Bill, for saying that. We absolutely agree I think, John, you also agree. So, and John was very helpful in making some comments during the smaller group. So we appreciate all the work that the staff did and everyone did on the smaller group. So, that said, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Anybody abstaining? Everything has been accepted. The
Thank
vote
you.
carries. Thank you. Great job. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes, thanks, Michelle, and Kathy and Brittany. They
Yes,
really wrote
Kathy
all
and
of this,
Brittany, yep.
this text.
Yep.
We just needed to clarify that.
Yes, we just needed to clarify everything, and I think
Yeah.
we did that. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so are you next?
Thank you, Rohan. And so I'd like to thank all the council members for the support during Middle States and some of the impromptu activities. It's really much appreciated. And we have, I think, all good news to report today, I think.
Yeah,
So-
let me say thank you to Keith and Bill also. I wasn't available to participate, so I'm very thankful that the two of you handled it very capably, and with everyone said you did a great job, so thank you very much.
Very rewarding.
Good.
Once it came out right.
Well, I think it did. So
It did, it
I'm going to
did.
leave,
It
I'm going to
came
leave
out.
it to the president to tell us.
It came out really well, and we couldn't have gotten a better report, even if I got to write it. So thank you. And thanks also to Jennifer and her team. They organized really an amazing student day this last Saturday. And
That's Andy's team.
Alicia.
But thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you take the thank you. I saw you there on the stage speaking, and I could only say that I'm glad I came before you. So thank you, and Andy, thank you very much, along with your team, and Alicia for really an amazing job. I also want to sort of say that we received tremendous support from our Day of Giving, a record-breaking contribution of $260,000. And Andrea Legata, really want to compliment you for all your different efforts to achieve this. And we were supported by lots of folks. What really helped towards the end, there was a $40,000 matching grant, which we were able to match on the last day. And just lots and lots of energy behind this. We had 100% contribution from all the vice president, all the cabinet, and really full support of this. So with this kind of support, we now have 2 new endowed scholarships created in memory of Anita Brown and Dan Ryan, and really want to thank everybody for the gifts. Do you want to say a few words, Andrea?
I just want to say thank you. It really did take a village. It was not any one person. I certainly can't take the credit, but I certainly will share it with our team. It was a lot of work went into that, and through the generosity, as you said, Lily, it was a wonderful day to be in. So my sincere thanks to everyone.
The other thing that we want to report back on, again, was the Middle States visit. And I remember when I came on board about a year and a half ago, I always had this at the back of my mind, you know. that
You're coming at a wonderful time.
that they're coming, you know. And it arrived quicker than I imagined. But again, I think the team did a splendid job from the initial reception, which actually was in this room with this team of folks, and the support from Keith and Bill, you know, during that whole session. And the whole team effort on all fronts, from the students to the staff to the faculty. And I'll be remiss if we didn't acknowledge Carly Phipps and Andy for their work. In fact, I remember reading their report, and I had to look very hard for something to correct. So I didn't find any. But so it's really great team effort. And it was also interesting to see the folks on the visit seeing the uniqueness and the distinctiveness of what goes on here, which they comment upon, and then to give us some feedback that I think enables us to go through this process of continuous improvement. So really great effort and great outcome. In terms of enrollment, I can say that right now when I show these results, I can say they look very positive in every area. But really, Alicia and her team have done tremendous work to achieve, success in first-year intakes, transfers, and graduate students intake. Do you want to say a few words?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Alicia Foster. I presented this morning. We're obviously watching these numbers closely day by day as they ebb and flow. That first picture in the presentation was from this Saturday. We held our third Accepted Student Day. We welcomed about 400 guests between students and their families. Looking really close and crunching those numbers, we had 46 deposits come in over the weekend, so really pushed us ahead. Compared to last year, that Accepted Student Day, we got about 25 deposits. I have an amazing team underneath me who is very creative and works really hard, and we really spotlight that small campus feel here. And so the admissions team, our financial aid team, we do a lot of one-on-ones with families and prospective students. And so hoping to keep watching those deposits go in that direction.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. 46 deposits on acceptance days.
It's really great.
Wonderful. Yep.
Graduate numbers are striking.
Yes. So there's a lot of detail underneath all that. Last year, for example, we offered free registration and applications to all graduate students, especially those from India. Many of those didn't yield. This year, we offered fewer but much greater stick. And there's a lot of work that's gone into the transfers and the first year. And as of today, these numbers really show that work is paying off.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just multiple levels of teamwork that's driving this outcome. And in terms of the enrollment, there's been lots of efforts with travel in the spring, being 36% more than what we did last year. The SUNY Poly Shadow Days, when we welcome students to campus and they shadow a SUNY Poly student. 60 students so far have participated, very crucial in getting the students connected to our campus. And then the Acceptance Student Days, we've had 3 of them, the last of which we had this Saturday. All 3 have been well attended. And I could tell you, as somebody who's gotten an opportunity to talk to each of the parents, you can really see that they see what we offer in terms of our distinctive education and also hands-on education in ways that truly connect. So these kind of efforts are keeping our enrollment numbers up in spite of the demographic clip that's happening across the country. In terms of spring activities, the Path to Poly efforts continue. We were at HVCC a few weeks ago as a management team, and those efforts, along with multiple efforts from the MVCC team and us, have really enabled us to keep up our results in terms of transfers from MVCC and Path to Poly partners. Within this area, we've also developed much simplified ways of presenting our financial aid numbers. And I could tell you, as somebody that's a beneficiary of those kinds of things, the way that the data is presented certainly got to me. In terms of progress from our 4 colleges, I'd like to start with some of the activities in the College of Arts and Sciences. Here, as usual, some of our students are presenting at National Society meetings. Here is Seth Walter, who traveled to Anaheim, California to present at the American Physical Society Summit in March. That's a very prestigious meeting, the APS meeting, and being in a position to present at a place like that is great for any aspiring physicist. We have the Dean Search going on in Arts and Sciences. We've had 4 candidates visit us in the past week. I have to say it's a tough choice. Very good candidates, very compelling cases. but we're hoping to make an announcement about the final choice within the next week or two. And then when the leadership and faculty attended the MMRI Gala. I know Jen was there with Gary, and we also had Lauren Endres and the head of biology, Megan DeChavo, be there to represent us. Great representation with a group that's really been a very strong partner to us. And we're progressing in talks with MMRI and MVHS on a strengthened partnership that will enable us to really strengthen biomedical research at SUNY Poly. In fact, one of the outcomes of that is that we're likely to recruit into our faculty all the 6 scientists that are on the MMRI faculty to help with student advising, to help with research and projects in ways that we're hoping to announce in the next couple of weeks. In the College of Business, there was a really great business plan competition that was well attended. I have to say, as somebody who sat through a number of those presentations, it was just wonderful to see our students and how well they presented their ideas and defended with some, very accomplished alums who served as judges. And I'm proud to say that Jen's team won. Heads up, they took the prize, and they were grilled, but they stood up, and they did us proud in just how they expressed themselves. And I think it was really the entrepreneurial mindset that we're introducing. And then we had one of our alums, who's the guy who started LAFA, come and talk to us about how he had presented at this meeting a few years ago. And he didn't win that particular one, he won another one. But he got such good feedback from that experience that enabled him to go with his conviction to establish the business LAFAs afterwards. So just wonderful activity here with Robert Edgell and the whole team now taking a group of our students to the finals for the New York State competition. In the College of Engineering, we had great success recently with the Wildcat Fluid Power Club being crowned Grand Champion of this year's challenge that was held in Illinois. Ahmed Abdullah describes just the students and how they crushed it in his own language.
Right.
But it's exciting, right? This is the kind of thing, again, where our students are leading on a national level, and really proud to see this outcome. Aarti Sakaran is really a great faculty member in engineering. She's doing great work on many fronts and was recently honored as the 2025 SUNY Poly Women Who Inspire Award recipient. In the College of Health Sciences, we just were part of the award from Marianne Buttonshot for the 50th year anniversary of the College of Nursing. And the School of Nursing this year was established in a way that has brought tremendous joy to the nursing faculty. I'm so delighted just to see how they have rallied around, the vision of the School of Nursing, and it's really brought even more energy to that group. And then we have been recognized second in New York State for our RN to BS program, and our nursing faculty continues to be appreciated for just the excellence that they're delivering. So in terms of the budget, things are good on a high level, but I'd like Mary Ellen perhaps to go through these numbers with you.
Thanks, Wally. So there's a few new people to the council, and a lot of changes happening over the last couple of years. So I thought I'd give a little bit of a historical looked at the budget.
Great.
So 2022-23 was the last year that we had CNSE with us for the full year. And so that shows the budget for that year, which was $30,735,000. August 3rd of 2023 is when CNSE made that transfer to UAlbany. So the 23-24 budget mostly consists of information with and without them. So the state support that you'll see still indicates what we received with CNSE, as does most of the budget. What they did is give us all of the money for that year, and then at the end of the year, they transferred the portion that was to go to Albany to them. So our receipts were a little inflated, and then they took it out at the end. 23-24 is also the year that, through the state budget, the SUNY campuses were awarded more funds for the first time in several years. So this was the portion that we received. We received additional state aid that we could use anywhere within our budget of $1.2 million. It was $1.3 million. We received $16,000 that went back to graduate students to help offset the fees that they pay the institution. $17,900 was for food insecurity that helped support our food pantry. Mental health support, $250,000 went to help students support them through all different things across campus, from yoga classes to extra counseling sessions, a little of everything. Students with disabilities, or we call accessibility services, again, $250,000. That allowed us to hire some additional staff within that office, as well as do a study. And this year we're doing some purchase of equipment and other things that'll make areas more accessible for students across campus. Internships, so that allowed us, we used it for our SERP, for our summer program, so that allowed us to have more students participate in the summer program. Research investment that allowed us to do all the great things with research. It gave us all the seed startup, the center startup funds. We made 14 different centers that we awarded funding to out of those funds. In 24-25, we received the same amounts, except for we received an additional $100,000 for internships and an additional $900,000 for research investment. I gotta look down here because I can't see. In addition to that, if we continue going down in 23-24, 22-23, we received money for brand new faculty that we never had the positions before. So we were able to fill 6 positions using that $966,000, and that funding has continued for the next 2 years as well. And then in 23-24, you see the amount that transferred to UAlbany was $2.9 million that went to them from our budget, and that was exactly what was needed to cover the salaries of the people and the students who were going to UAlbany. That's how that amount was determined. So less specific activities at the bottom. So the specific activities are those unique items in the middle that I mentioned, from grad students down to the research. So if you take those out, because you have to spend them on those specific activities, that brought our budget to $29.5, so pretty flat. 24-25, you'll see the state support went down. That went down by the amount that went to UAlbany. Tuition stays pretty flat. Scholarships, and the amount of scholarships listed on here is in addition to the scholarships that are paid by the auxiliary and the foundation. So if you add those two in as well, we award more than $3 million in scholarships each year to the students. The rest of the items stay the same as I identified. And then in 24-25, a new item that we received was support for faculty and staff. So again, that we could spend that in any way supporting faculty and staff across campus. You'll see another amount under the CSE, UAlbany CNSE line, the $162,000. That's what we kept in 23, 24 because we had to pay the salaries for the month of July. In 24, 25, we didn't have that, so they took that remainder money from us. And that brought us to our budget of this year of $29.8 million.
So what you're saying is CNSE cost us $3 million. Is that out of our operating money?
Yes. So real quick overview on the next couple of slides. So I also wanted to kind of show you the expenditures and revenues for that same period of time. And if you look at the top two lines, it's PSR instructional and PSR non-instructional. So the top line is all the faculty. This next line is everybody that's not faculty. So if you look at 22, 23 to 23, 24, held consistent for those 2 years. 24, 25, it's gone up even more. Faculty has stayed level, but keep in mind that these numbers do not reflect CNSE for 23, 24, and 24, 25. So even though the PSR paid out stayed level, that's because we were able to fill those positions that we hadn't had. 24, 25, you'll see non-instructional went up $3 million. Again, that's because we filled positions that we hadn't had in a long time, positions that would strategically allow us to bring in more revenues, things like conferencing and continuing education, student success counselors to help the students be successful on campus, positions like that. And then the rest down the line, nothing else I really want to point out on the rest of it. Any questions on the expenditure side?
The instructional, full-time and non-instructional, does that number include benefits as well, or is that just salary?
That's just salaries. Yeah. These are all paid out of revenue out of the state budget.
The state
And so
budget,
we don't
yeah.
pay benefits on that part of our budget.
SUNY's run where the benefits come out of SUNY's system.
Okay, thank you. I knew this.
So then on the revenue side, we stayed pretty flat across the 3 years. Again, tuition, we were flat, but remember 135 students that we had in 22, 23, we didn't have in the next 2 years. Those were the CNSE students. So even with them leaving, our tuition stayed pretty flat. That just shows, the increase in students that our enrollment staff brought in.
So weren't a lot of the students that went to CNSE given free scholarships?
So it was up to UAlbany, so they had to be held
No, I mean in 22, 23.
in 22, 23, yes. So they were included in scholarships that we awarded.
Right. Okay. They didn't pay tuition.
That practice started intensely, 8 or 9 years ago, but tailed off.
It did tail off in the end?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is just a real quick chart showing the revenue and expenditures. So you can see that, the revenue is above expenditures, which is a great thing. That dip there you see in 2021, of course, is because of COVID.
Right.
So our expenditures were much less because.
How will we ever forget that?
But you see, we're holding pretty constant, pretty steady the last couple years. We need to, be bringing in the revenues in the areas where we've strategically planned those investments, and that will continue to hopefully to widen and have a larger surplus.
What happens to the surplus? Does SUNY absorb it or do we get to use it?
It's ours,
It's ours.
yeah. So it stays on the campus.
Thanks very much, Mary Ellen.
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
And I think you can see we're healthy. We would hope for an inflection point someday to take us up. And so that's one of the things we're looking at very carefully, which is how to drive that inflection. And, some of the activities that I'll describe, such as research revenues and growth in students in particular areas, I think hopefully will get us to that inflection. Now, a key part of what we're doing is really to establish a clear vision for how to move forward. And this trifecta vision sort of summarizes the key components of a vision. So we realize we have the opportunity to leverage a number of areas as areas of focus where the school as a whole can develop excellence. We've broken this up into 3 thrusts where we have collaborations. One of them is in business advanced manufacturing, where we have collaborations with a number of manufacturing companies in the area, as well as researchers at multiple levels and industry to really drive additive manufacturing, advanced manufacturing in the region. The second is the collaboration with the Masonic Medical Research Institute folks and the Mohawk Valley Health System folks at Wynn Hospital and also at Rome Hospital, where we formed another collaboration between academia, health delivery folks that's really driving the frontiers of life sciences connected to medicine and medical robotics. And then the third is the sort of intersection between information technology, AI, cyber, and quantum. And there are partnership with the folks at the Griffith Lab and also at the Griffith Institute and also at the Air Force Research Labs is a key component of how we're driving this so-called trifecta model. And what's at the heart of it is joint research and innovation, workforce development, all with a focus on how do we drive industry and how do we drive economic prosperity and community development in this region. The advantage of these partnerships is that we don't need to have buildings in all these places to have an impact. We share resources, we share access to teaching facilities in Rome, we share access to lab facilities at MMRI, and we build the trust of industry who provide us with support for our students, co-ops, internships, as well as research funding, and who really become close partners with us. An example of this is Indian Corporation, with whom we've been engaging. And, I just met with, one of their lead scientists to talk specifically about how SUNY Poly can do modeling that's a little bit more involved than what they normally do, that enables them to develop better solder materials, that enables them to have more reliable devices from that kind of partnership. And so we're doing this not just with Indium, we're doing it with Micron, Global Foundries, Wolfspeed, and Danfoss. And we have a group in our industry advisory board of about 15 companies that Wayne is courting. So Wayne, do you want to say a few words?
Sure. Wally mentioned these 3 groups. It started out very much as let's pull these consortia together and engage in partnership and how we can serve each other, to this broader vision. And I just want to emphasize the research opportunities, the cross engagement with our faculty. I know Andrea would support this, the opportunity where these companies not only want to serve our students and provide career paths, but we're looking at could they fund equipment that they use in their facility that prepares that workforce, prepares our students to use their equipment within their company. But we're also looking at opportunities where they may want to name labs and name facilities that we're looking at. So it's really driving. And I had a lot of fun working with the president to put this slide together. It's really working with all of our partners to advance in all these areas, look at innovative ways that we could bring product to market. How can we research? There's a slide coming up later in terms of how do we get involved in the Department of Defense, where years ago you'd be like, no, we're not going to get involved in that. But our research and the impact and the effects of this trifecta lead to things like that, where we can grow the research. Again, we're always talking about preparing our students for successful careers, and that's where that workforce development comes in. We've had a lot of conversations about really doing a workforce survey with our industry partners to understand their workforce needs. Why do we want to do that? Because we want to align those needs with our academic programs. our graduate programs, potential PhD programs. So we're looking at that. And again, this is all done so we can align with industry and we can align our programs with industry and have community impact and economic prosperity for all of us. So it's just a little bit of a
Thank you.
recap of what you've already shared.
Great. Thank you, Wade. And the great thing is we have great relationships with all those folks, and we're building together and doing things that are driving the university. And just to illustrate the engagement with partners, we just met with Congressman John Mannion, who came down here to visit us and is excited to represent us and support our efforts. A number of us were out to the Comets hockey game, all sitting like rich folks in the AIS suite. And we also had the privilege of sort of hosting the folks from the New York State Canal Corporation, which is a 200-year company that started very near here in Rome. And these are just a few fun pictures from those events. In terms of defense appropriation, we started this effort about just over a year ago, where we basically said we've now started bringing these groups of researchers together around AI, around a number of new topical areas. And we asked for an investment, I think, of about $150,000 from the SUNY Foundation Board to pay a business development company that really connected us to program managers and opportunities. And so this is the result of that effort. Wayne, do you want to say a few words about these?
Sure, and this group, I believe we've updated you on this before. So we submitted for fiscal year 25 4 projects. We've also talked quite a bit about the challenge to the federal budget over the last several weeks and months. But the good news is we have all indications that in our 4 requests, 2 of them are yielding some fruit here. The $5 million foundational modeling, AI, and our distributed radio frequency. It's a lot of cyber and advanced communication work. And one thing I'll point out is not only have we had visits from 3 Department of Defense program managers on campus who have been just really impressed with our faculty PIs, but also our capabilities and our forward thinking and our partnerships with other academic institutions. We don't often talk about that, but that's led to further conversations. So, for example, the $5 million project number 1, we are the lead, and what that's led to is we've had our faculty go down to the U.S. Army Research Lab and meet with all their scientists to understand the needs of the project and set the stage for additional project work and additional funding outside of the defense appropriation work. So we're making progress in these areas. The other, I will thank again, I'll echo what the President said, the Foundation Board was extremely helpful in supporting us with the $150,000 fee for the first year. We've finalized, and again, Andrea, thank you, and please thank the board members for us. Year 2, we've finalized an agreement with SUNY Research Foundation. That's the right lane for this type of funding to filter through. So the Research Foundation, our account will be covering that $150,000 cost. We've already submitted earlier this month, late March, early April, we've submitted the 5 projects in fiscal year 26 listed here to 4 members of Congress, Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Mannion, and Congressmember Stefanik. All these projects. You'll notice that 3 are continuation requests. Number 1 is to continue the good work that we've received for fiscal year 25, and number 4 is a different name for the distributed radio frequency. And one final thing I'll just share, we didn't get funding for the Navy Sea Command Maintenance Technologies. that's very much something near and dear to our president. It's advanced manufacturing, material science, work on repairing Navy ships. And the reason I bring that up is that has spilled over into a really combined relationship with Xerox and the University of Houston that we're working with, and the program manager who was also here on campus, Dan Stanley, to really move that forward. We feel that will definitely get funded this year because it has bipartisan support throughout Congress in multi-states across the board. So that's kind of where we stand. We're watching things. Mike Carpenter and our faculty have been instrumental in positioning us to where we are, because if we don't have the capabilities in research and we don't have the facilities to match that, we don't receive this funding. So again, it's really the work of our faculty and our researchers that are driving this.
Do we get a percentage of the admin costs, or does the Research Foundation get it all?
No, we're going to distribute that to the Research Foundation, the folks who do the work, and different aspects of the university.
So SUNY Poly will get
Definitely.
some of it, okay.
So roughly about a third of this is overhead.
Okay.
The other thing is, as you can see, the number of zeros has gone up. And so this is big numbers. And so
Right.
we have Susan Head, who's joined us as the Vice President for Research Finance. It turns out that as we begin to play in this domain, the stakes are really high. The compliance issues are really significant.
Exactly. I'm
And so
glad
we've
Susan's
put into
back.
place Susan and some administrative support. And on the business side, we've also hired some folks to help with procurements and management of essentially these kinds of transactions to make the institution as robust as possible. So our research operation now has Mike Carpenter as the Vice President, Susan Head as the Vice President, Research Finance, an admin support, and a grant writing person. When you look at all of that investment, with the ROI that we're getting with grants of up to $8 million in this year, with prospective grants that may run into larger sums next year, you can see that this gives us a framework for strategic growth. The other thing that I want to point out is that as the other interdisciplinary teams become groups and they start bidding on contracts, they also will have access to larger grants that will gradually increase our presence as a research institution. So it's kind of step by step, but hopefully we can see that there's a method to this that's sort of taking our investments and trying to translate them into group strength and funding.
Can Andy or Susan, would you like to make any comments? Susan's new to our...
No, I mean, I think your question is an astute one. When these investments generate revenue, it's not always directly into our state accounts. Sometimes it's via the Research Foundation.
Right.
So, it appears in other ways, but all of that is part of our overall financial position.
Right.
And it just builds on.
But I think everybody has to understand that we don't get, I think that's what I think the council should understand.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and the Research Foundation is a statewide entity. But
Right.
we have our own Research Foundation
Account,
staff.
right, and
so
staff, right.
RF money comes to SUNY Poly,
Right.
not to some remote central
Right.
entity. They keep a
Right.
very small percentage
Right.
to support the staff that supports the campus.
I just want everybody
Yeah,
to
no,
understand
got
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also, this is DOD money.
Right.
There's a federal national conversation about indirect costs and
Right.
capping indirect costs.
Right.
That hasn't impacted SUNY Poly yet.
And God only knows what'll happen to.
Yeah, and it's real, this isn't just fluff money.
No.
These are real costs that campuses incur to support this work.
Right.
In this case, it's for technologies that you see here, but
Right.
in other cases, it's for the facilities and the personnel that contribute to research that saves lives, helps students, creates jobs, contributes to regional and national economic prosperity.
Yeah,
And didn't we talk about an AI grant or,
that's the foundational AI
No,
grant.
but weren't we partnering also with MVCC? Wasn't MVCC involved in something?
That was an AI in Society.
AI in
SUNY
Society,
initiative.
SUNY
Yeah.
initiative,
We got
okay.
a small amount of money.
You got a small amount of that,
Yeah,
okay.
50K.
Yeah,
50,000.
yeah. Because at our ACT conference last year, we did talk, they brought in the SUNY system people to talk to us about AI and AI in SUNY, and they wanted to do some policy development for the campuses and for the student and faculty relationships.
Yeah, we've been engaged.
You
with
have
them.
been
Yeah,
engaged.
it's
Okay,
a really
great.
good team.
Okay, great, thank you.
Now, talking about the
Well,
AI.
there's a happy group of people.
So, just, I think 2 weeks ago, is it? There was a team actually supported by the AI grant to go to Ghana on an outreach, partly for fundraising, partly for building partnerships with universities, and also really connecting in AI to emerging AI groups at different universities. So you'll see there Bill Thistleton, Steve Schneider, who was definitely the adventurer of the year. Will Javian.
And are you going to tell us the story behind that?
Yeah, I mean, he went everywhere on the local Tro trucks and
Really?
motorbikes. And Will Javian Dawson, who really markets our graduate programs across the world, and then Kevin Hill, who's here, who is in charge of international students here at SUNY Poly. And they connected to the embassy, the U.S. Embassy in Accra and in Kumasi. They connected to professional marketers to sell our programs to students and families in Accra, which is a growing city. And they went with us to Kumasi, which has the largest science and technical university, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where there was just a tremendous reception for us. We've already signed an MOU with Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology that has 80 or 90,000 really bright people. And so seeing the excitement that they have for what we have to offer is just great. I was told that I had to give a little talk, and then I showed up to this room of a few thousand people to talk about essentially AI and materials and manufacturing in ways that really brought together, I think, a lot of good visibility for SUNY Poly. Our main contact there was this fellow here, Tabiria Sumadu, who's from Ghana, and he helped to really organize a lot of the meetings and interactions we had. This was during this talk where I was told to bring a jacket, and and it turns out it was just a great way to show what SUNY Poly is about, the kind of innovation that we're doing and the kind of research which really attracted a lot of people to want to work with us. And here's a guy called J.J. Ponyo who visited us. He's in charge of the AI Institute at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. This kind of visits, I think, build up the interest in our programs. They enable visiting scholars to come who do great work. In fact, it was quite interesting. I was able to present some of the results of their own faculty member who's here that has enabled us to do some great things in AI-based design of new materials. And we signed MOUs with Sunyani Technical University and others. Actually, this turns out we already signed this, but we put this on for the camera.
Of course. You didn't have to tell us that.
I think overall we came out of this with many, many people knowing about SUNY Poly, including those at the embassy. And this is increasingly important if we want folks to get visas, for them to be aware of what we're doing. And we're currently leveraging this initial effort to support a SUNY-wide, SUNY global effort in which there is an Africa initiative. And so as part of that, we'll be making a trip to Kenya and Rwanda in July, again, to build the reputation of the university, try to attract students in a place with a growing population and growing middle class, and working with the chancellor as well as the system provost, Ram, to really build this as an emerging area of strength for SUNY. In terms of upcoming events, we have the Athletics Awards banquet coming up soon. The Student Faculty Research Showcase in about 2 weeks. And Coffee and Concepts with AAIS folks. We're going to be signing an agreement with them. Andrea, do you want to say a few words about that?
Sure. We've been partnering with AIS for quite a while now, and we've formally put together an MOA, and this will be a ceremonial photo as well.
Yes.
But we are working with them in a number of areas through K-12. They're supporting our summer programs there. I know Abdullah is working closely with them through the College of Engineering, and certainly Chuck, who is the owner of AIS,
Right.
is an alum of
Alum, right,
So
right.
we're very proud of that connection.
He is too. Yeah.
Then we have the Academic Awards ceremony, the senior toast, and commencement. Sometimes I wonder what happened to the last 8 months.
Always.
And we have already signed up 2 speakers for commencement. To the left is Guru Madhavan, who is an alum of SUNY Poly. He's currently a senior fellow at the National Academy of Engineering. He has a really interesting story. He has 4 degrees, but he's never showed up to a graduation. And this year, his parents are going to be coming from India to see him get honored here at SUNY Poly. By the way, he has an amazing speech that he's prepared that we all look forward to.
That's great.
And then we have our own Maria Kontoridis, who will be giving the speech at the college graduation for the Colleges of Arts and Sciences, Business and Health Sciences. We all know Maria, and she's a tremendous collaborator and advocate for SUNY Poly. So looking forward to
And you know,
that.
as college council members, you're welcome to come to the graduations and participate in whatever way you feel fit. Dan just needs to know. Right, Dan?
Communication is happening.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
We're all encouraged
Yep,
to attend.
yep,
Yeah,
okay.
It's a fun event.
It is.
It really is.
yeah, it's a great event. So thank you all for listening. I hope you can see that it's been a packed few months, but overall, we're very thankful with all the changes that are going on in the world, that the institution continues to be healthy and continues to grow.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Adam McLean.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to be quick, partly because some of the things I was going to mention have already been talked about, so if you need to cover them again. I don't want to say there's a lot of exciting faculty, and some of it in collaboration with students. Thank you. I don't have any slides. You can have that, Steve. Research going on this summer. A lot of it is being funded by the seed grants that the president and his team put together. And a lot of people are doing research on those or doing pedagogical related things using the second round of seed grants, which were focused more on teaching. I got one of the first round seed grants, and I'm going back to the field this summer, and I'm actually leaving in less than a month. Taking my spot on the graduation stage is going to be Dr. Gupta Buddher, who's a biology faculty here and the chair of our curriculum committee. I won't be able to attend graduation because I'm going to be leaving. Before then, I was also going to say that my term as governance leader comes to an end in August. I've agreed to stand for reelection to a second term. There's no guarantee that I will be reelected to a second term. So if I'm not, this is the last one of these I think I'm going to be at. So it's been great serving with you. If I am reelected, I'll see you in the, for the one in the fall. So I want to put that out there. What else do I have on my list here? I have a poster for the Student Faculty Research Project Showcase that Wole mentioned. I can send a link to that to Dan, and he can send it out to everybody, but the students would love it if you could all attend and see the stuff that they've been working so hard on. I know it means a lot to them to have you all there.
Please do. Send it to us.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a faculty-installed pollinator garden that's being put in on campus. Dr. Orlova, who studies bees, bee pheromones, is putting that in, and she's a newer faculty member, and we should have some nice, lovely native area wildflowers and things popping up. So that's it. That'll be a good one. I'm attending the plenary in a couple of weeks in Oneonta. It's the 100th. That's the gathering of SUNY campus governance leaders and SUNY administrative people from around New York State. Chancellor King will be there, and hopefully we can get some insight into how everything's going with, I liked how Andy put this, that there's a national conversation ongoing about overhead and things like that for grants. That was a very diplomatic way of putting that. I like that a lot. But I expect that we'll learn more from Chancellor King at the plenary about what's been going on. That brings me to my final point, which is that the faculty, particularly faculty who hold green cards or may not be U.S. citizens, a lot of them have expressed concern about things that have been ongoing. I'm sure everybody watches the news, reads the paper. I've been in conversation with administration about this. I'm very satisfied that we're in a good position if these issues were to come up. But it is something faculty are concerned about, and I wanted to just bring that to the College Council's attention as well. That's all I have. Thank you. Anyone have questions for me? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, student government, John.
Hello. I got rid of student government report on my slides because when compiling this, I tried to reach out to more than just student government. I sat down, I talked to graduate students, undergrad students, clubs and organizations, tried to talk to everything. So, first up, for student government, we are currently hosting our fall 25, spring 26 elections. Last time I updated you all on our special elections when I got elected, and now we are working on our official elections for next year. We have 4 candidates for president, 3 for vice president, 2 for chief justice, and then 2 new college council student reps. So I'm rerunning and campaigning actively right now.
Good.
Thank you.
Good luck.
We also hosted a debate last week that I was a part of. It was live streamed on YouTube. I added the link to my slides if anyone's interested in watching it. We had a good turnout. It was a little bit long, but it went by really well. It's not going next. There it goes. All right. So, some event planning updates. Wildcat Media is hosting Name That Tune on April 18th. This will be a fun event where students can kind of come in. They'll play some music, you gotta name it, they'll give snacks and prizes. But what I really wanted to highlight is our Wildcat Events Board organization in student government is hosting Apocalypse Week starting next week. This is the end of the semester, end of year actually event where it's an apocalypse and they spend a lot of money and it's a lot of fun. Monday, there will be drag bingo this next Monday. Tuesday, we'll have a magician come to campus. Wednesday, it'll be late night, which will be here. It's kind of like a takeover of the student center. Late night, snacks, fun, music, parties, games, and all. Thursday is my favorite, the casino night, where we will have it's like a local company that comes in and they host, they bring in like poker and they bring blackjack and everything. That's a really fun event that a lot of students love. And Sunday, we'll have Carnival Day. They put Sunday in my thing. Well, I guess Saturday will be Carnival Day. Yeah, that'll be a fun day too. So for Wildcat Esports, I briefly mentioned last time about FragFest. That was a weekend-long wild gaming bender that our students hosted. That was in this room right here, the NPR, the other side, actually. And lots of video games were played. They had some karaoke, raffles, and in attendance we had 130 students on Friday, and then about 100 students on Saturday and Sunday attended this event. It's kind of hard to see up in the top right, but there was a lot of prizes given out. We had, gaming consoles given out Friday. We had TVs, PlayStations, lots of, I guess, energy drinks and gift cards. My favorite is the Battle Grade lightsaber, which I don't know what makes a lightsaber Battle Grade, but we handed out 2 of those.
If you're going to have a lightsaber, have a battle grade one.
Don't bring it to the Res Halls.
Sure.
I know. Off campus, our Rocket League team just recently qualified for the ECAC Spring Showdown. This is just a tournament that they qualified for. I was told that the game they win is about a $5,000 prize for every game that they win. We will see when that is and how that goes. We will also be having 2 teams competing in the semifinals at UAlbany upcoming soon. That'll be a Rocket League team and a Valorant team. So I also reached out to our multicultural center, and we have a committee of students who are involved in the multicultural center of about 12 students involved. And I talked to the chair, the head student, and they were able to give me some updates that I am happy to share to you. So for March, for Women's History, our multicultural center and our students hosted a kind of an awareness event where they put up multiple flyers about influential women figures and their place in society and what they have done. I put up a quick one of the flyers that they did post, and I was told that this event had at least over 40 students attend to read these flyers, which is really good to hear. And this was in the library. And then also they were planning an interfaith celebration event on April 17th. So the idea with that is there's a lot of interfaith celebrations at the end of March to the beginning of May that are going on. So they're raising awareness to each of those holidays so we can kind of include all of our students on campus. So some student athletics updates. Our women's softball is currently 10-7. I'm happy to say that Trinity Critelli, one of our softball pitchers, just recently reached 600 career strikeouts. That's a huge milestone for her. Our women's lacrosse team isn't doing too well. They're 1-9. But our men's lacrosse team they're doing better. Luke Taylor also just reached a career milestone at 100 points. Our men's baseball is doing all right. Ryan Pelton, one of our current students, recently just broke SUNY Poly's home run record, and I was told that he will be coming back next year to make that even higher. Break it again, yeah. So that's really good to hear. Men's volleyball is doing really good. They're currently 19-14. That an event which I'll talk about shortly. At my last presentation, when I gave out the athletics update, I was brought up to question if the baseball team is able to play. I reached out to the SAC advisor, David, and he told me that it has been really tough for our baseball team to play on home games. The weather this month today was okay this morning, and then yesterday was really nice, but they've struggled with the weather lately, so these home games have been tough, and I believe they've even had a couple home games postponed because of the weather here on campus. So we also have a student athletics advisory committee on campus. I reached out to them. They just recently hosted D3 week. That was the week of April 7th, so last week. They started their D3 week on Monday with student interviews. That was posted on the Student Athletics Advisory Committee Instagram page, if anyone's interested, where we just interviewed our current athletes and what they do, what they study on campus. Tuesday, our athletes did a campus cleanup and community service, which I was told that these pictures will be posted soon. I was hoping to have them before this presentation, but I was not able to receive them. Wednesday did a Wear White Wednesday, where they encouraged support for the men's volleyball home game. This was very successful. They had over 100 spectators in attendance, wearing white for our volleyball players. Thursday, our SAC has hosted Family Feud and the Clash of the Classes. Family Feud was kind of a friendly competition where you had alums come to SUNY Poly and compete against our current students, and then that led right into the Clash of the Classes event. So that was pretty fun. Okay, so our Rocketry Club, I reached out to a student at the Rocketry Club, and he was happy to tell me that on April 30th to May 4th, they will be going to NASA at Huntsville, Alabama, and competing there. They have built, designed, and tested their own rocket, and they will be competing against other schools representing SUNY Poly in Alabama. So I hope to report back how that competition goes by soon. Okay, so I'm bringing this one back up on the table. The Flu Power Vehicle Club, I talked about last presentation, but the president also mentioned it. I've been in close contact with Pascal, one of the students involved in the club. He's the one not holding the certificate. He's holding a glass award. It's hard to see. But this competition was held this last weekend. They just finished. I think they just got back to campus like yesterday morning. But on Friday, as soon as they took that picture, Pascal was so happy to call me and tell me that they won. And he was very happy. He told me that they earned a $3,000 reward. $2,000 went to the campus and $1,000 went to the students involved. So this is a club with 14
Very nice.
This is a club with 14 active members. Only 7 was able to go. They received funding from IMI, where this was hosted in Illinois, to go. And they built their bike from scratch, so that's really good to hear. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. So, didn't we have a drainage issue with the baseball field? Did that get fixed? Anybody?
Not yet. This summer, we purchased some new dirt, some new clay, and we're going to dig out the old, put in some new. So it didn't happen for this season, but hopefully next season.
Because the drainage is part of the problem.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Great. I don't need there's no need for an executive session. Does anybody have any questions for John? That was an excellent report.
Thank you.
I really like seeing all the activities of the students, because I think that's, the academic and the activities are very important for the school to be successful.
Yes.
So that's great. Thank you. Anyone have any comments? Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Bill? Keith? So moved. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Yep.
Keep the standard.
Good meeting. Yeah.
I also